Betrayal on I-35. My family left me to die after the crash. I thought surviving the mangled wreckage on I-35 was the hardest thing I'd ever do, but the truth. The agonizing betrayal by my own family has cut deeper than any shattered bone. I need to know if I'm crazy, if I handled this nightmare the right way, because my life has been torn apart, and I'm desperately grasping for any semblance of sanity. It all began 3 years ago. I spent weeks trapped within the sterile walls of a hospital room, the victim of a horrific accident. A drunk truck driver had turned my world upside down, leaving me with a fractured arm and a grueling road to recovery, just to walk again. Even now, 3 years later, the highway haunts me, a constant reminder of that day. But the physical pain paled in comparison to the soul-crushing abandonment I experienced. My sister had gone into labor, and suddenly, I was invisible to my family. No aid, no support, nothing. The cruel irony, I was on my way to surprise her at the hospital when tragedy struck. I'd borrowed a friend's car, driven for hours from my job, fueled by excitement and love for my sister and her unborn child after receiving the news that she was being rushed to the hospital. And then, darkness. I woke up in a hospital I didn't recognize, alone. My friends and coworkers became my lifeline, the only people who offered comfort and assistance during my long, arduous recovery. At first, I tried to understand. My sister was having a baby, a huge event. But as the days bled into weeks, a chilling realization dawned on me. My parents hadn't even checked on me. I remember desperately calling them, my voice weak and strained, begging the nurses if they had come or even heard from them. Each negative reply felt like another blow. Finally, a week after the accident, they called. Not to ask how I was, but to berate me for calling them so much. They were with my sister, of course. Despite the shock, I forced myself to ask about my sister and the baby. They were fine, that was all. No concern for their own daughter, lying broken in a hospital bed. My friends, bless their hearts, had tried everything to reach them, to alert them to my condition. But my parents admitted they knew, they just chose to ignore it, because my sister's needs came first. Why couldn't you even pretend to care? I managed to choke out. That's when the dagger twisted. They admitted to deliberately ignoring me, claiming my sister's birth was more important than my self-inflicted injuries. I was stunned. It was a drunk driver, but they weren't talking about the truck driver. They accused me of being irresponsible, of driving at such a late hour, as if driving to the hospital to support my sister was some sort of reckless decision. Their words were like venom. I slammed the phone down, the anger a burning shield against the pain. The hospital staff later revealed a horrifying truth. My parents were the first people contacted when the paramedics found me at the scene. They refused to come, even demanding not to be contacted again. The hospital contacted my employer, who subsequently notified my coworkers and friends. To know my parents declined to rush to the hospital after learning of a car accident that their own daughter was in. I was just trying to support my family, and they were blaming me. It was then, in that sterile hospital room, surrounded by the kindness of strangers, that I understood the truth. My family didn't care, not really. Not when it mattered. Not even my sister bothered to reach out. So, I cut them off. It's been 3 years of silence. Before the accident, our relationship seemed normal, but deep down, I always knew my sister and her priorities came first. This tragedy just confirmed it in the most brutal way imaginable. I wasn't even angry that they were with my sister during labor. I was devastated that they didn't think I was worth a visit after the baby was born. My sister had her in-laws and fiancé. I had only my friends, thank God for them. They paid my medical bills, supported me through the recovery, a debt I can never fully repay. Now, after 3 years of radio silence, things have exploded. My parents, who haven't even attempted to contact me, began painting me as the villain to other relatives. It started a few weeks ago, at a family dinner celebrating my sister's promotion. The topic of our estrangement came up, and my parents decided to finally tell their side. But their side was a twisted, unrecognizable lie. They claimed they weren't notified about the accident until days later. By then, they were too busy with my sister and the baby to worry about why I hadn't called. They said they tried to contact me, but I was too distraught to talk, that I consistently rejected their calls, until they eventually gave up. They spun the whole thing as a simple misunderstanding, and that they never wanted to cause me pain. My aunt, bless her heart, reached out, ignoring my parents' explicit instructions. She said I was missing out on being my niece's aunt, and she couldn't stand to see me throw that away. She encouraged me to reach out. I was baffled and asked her to explain. Then, she revealed their lies, their complete distortion of reality. It was too much. I needed to tell my aunt the truth, the whole ugly truth, even offering to connect her with my friends who had bankrolled my medical expenses as proof. I explained how my parents had completely abandoned me after the accident. I wasn't even angry about them prioritizing my sister's delivery. It was their total disregard afterward that broke me. My aunt was horrified, apologizing for doubting me. I was relieved she knew the truth, but now, the fallout is tearing the family apart. Other relatives have contacted me, saying I was right to defend myself, that my parents' behavior was unforgivable. But their newfound sympathy has come at a cost. The family has begun to distance themselves from my parents, and now, they're blaming me for the consequences. How is this my fault? All I did was tell the truth to one person, and she chose to share it. My parents are now painting me as the intolerant bad guy who couldn't handle their lack of concern. And it's all coming to a head because my niece's third birthday, which is also the 3-year anniversary of my accident, is in a few weeks. They're terrified no one will show up. My parents, and even my sister, seem to think I'm doing this on purpose, that I'm seeking revenge because they chose my sister. They've even accused me of intentionally getting into the accident that night, out of jealousy because my sister was getting all the attention. That is such a horrible thing to even suggest. They even think I'm bringing it up now, years later, because my sister got a promotion at work and has a successful life. The hypocrisy is staggering. Since their first attempts to contact me, I have continued to block their numbers and disregard all of their messages. But I don't know what to do next. Do I have to confront them about their lies? Do I have to keep ignoring them and let the family issue work itself out? For the sake of my niece, who is innocent in all of this, should I try to patch things up? I am terribly conflicted, and I would use some guidance on how to deal with this chaotic family scenario. It's been approximately 2 weeks since my last post, and things have significantly become worse. Even though I'm still processing all that has transpired, I feel compelled to give you all this update. My folks unexpectedly dropped by my apartment a few days ago, after 3 years of no communication. I was startled to see them at my door. I initially believed they could have come to apologize, but I couldn't have been more missed. Play began screaming at me as soon as I answered the door and accused me of purposefully attempting to damage their family's name. How dare you spread lies about us, my father said, pointing his finger at me in a fit of rage. They refused to listen to me when I tried to clarify that I had just given my side of the story to one person, my aunt. My mother said that I was trying to punish them for supporting my sister throughout her delivery because I was jealous. They refused to leave when I ordered them to. My dad took a step forward, raising his voice. You must clean up the mess you made. Because of the lies you've propagated, no one wants to go to your niece's upcoming birthday party. I lost it at that point. They were the ones who had been dishonest and had deserted me when I needed the most, I shouted. My father stepped in the way when I attempted to shut the door. We were instantly engaged in a physical altercation as he pressed against the door. I gave him a hefty shove back in the heat of the moment. He staggered back, almost toppled over. I noticed a mixture of astonishment and horror in my mother's eyes as she gasped. We all remained there for a while panting, the truth of what had happened beginning to set. My father turned and remarked, "This isn't over. Before they finally left, you'll be sorry you did this." I sobbed after they were gone. I was crying and trembling from the shock of what had transpired. I've never been violent. I was inundated with texts from different family members the following day. When my parents came to make amends, they apparently told everyone that I had attacked them brutally. I was portrayed by them as dangerous and unstable. I received texts from several family members who were disappointed since they thought they were real. Some who were more dubious contacted me to inquire about my version of events. I told people the whole truth and was honest with them. In a particularly nasty communication, my sister advised me to avoid her and her daughter. I feel confused and overburdened, even if it was only a shove. I know I shouldn't have used physical force, however I also feel as though I was forced into a difficult situation. I'm concerned about the possible legal repercussions. Could they file assault charges? Do I need to report harassment? The family has never been more divided. Some people are adamantly on my side, some on my parents' side, and some are in the center, not knowing which side to believe. With individuals taking sides over whether or not to attend the approaching birthday celebration for my niece has turned into a contentious issue. I struggle with guilt as well. Although I'm aware that my parents' actions were wrong, I sometimes question whether I ought to have handled the situation differently. My emotional state is a complete mess. Even though my logical side understands I was defending myself, all of this has been made possible because of my friends. They've been taking turns checking in on me and have offered to let me stay with them if I feel insecure in my apartment. To help me deal with everything, the accident 3 years ago, my family's rejection, and now this confrontation, I'm thinking of going to therapy. My mental health is suffering as a result of everything. I've made the decision to update my email address and phone number for the time being in case my parents try to visit. I've also let my employer know about the issue. From here, how do I proceed? Should I think about taking legal action to defend myself? What should I do with my relatives who now perceive me as the antagonist in this tale? And above all, how do I begin to recover from this trauma? It's been about a week since my last update, and I'm still getting used to all that has transpired. I appreciate all of your ongoing help and guidance. My niece's third birthday celebration, which ended up being a total bust, was the most important occasion. According to my aunt who was present at the celebration, just a small number of people attended, close family and a few of her acquaintances. Because of the ongoing tension, the great bulk of the extended family decided to avoid it. From the beginning the mood was extremely tight. My sister was about to cry, my parents were clearly under stress, and my niece kept inquiring about everyone's whereabouts. Things reached a breaking point halfway through the celebration when my mother sobbed and openly accused me of destroying everything and destroying the family. People who were more sympathetic to my side of the story and those who supported my parents got into a fight as a result. With all the yelling and bad vibes, my niece broke down in tears as well. After losing it, my sister yelled at everyone to leave, accusing them of ruining her daughter's birthday. The visitor shuffled awkwardly out as the party came to an end. This makes me feel terrible. I feel guilty even though I know logically that I'm not to blame for anything. I'm also upset that my parents continue to try to make me the bad guy in all of this. The family has never been more split. There are some in the middle who are fed up with the whole thing, while others are on my side and fully supporting my parents. Over the last 24 hours, I've gotten a variety of messages. While some family members have sent me heartfelt notes accusing me of being responsible, others have offered your support. In a particularly unpleasant email, my sister told me that she no longer considers herself to have a sister and that she never wants to see or speak to me. I cannot describe how much those remarks stung. I still adore my sister and niece in spite of everything. I'm having trouble figuring out how to proceed from here. A part of me wants to get in touch with my sister and attempt to explain my position again. But another part of me questions whether it would be better to honor her desires and keep my distance, at least for the time being. I have no idea about my parents. I'm sick of the ongoing drama and suffering, but I also want to face them and force them to admit the harm they've caused. As suggested by many of you, I have been attending therapy. Even if it's early, having a professional to discuss all of this with feels fantastic. She is trying to provide me with the skills I need to establish healthy boundaries with my family while also assisting me in overcoming my feelings of guilt and resentment. One thing the therapist stated that truly resonated with me was that it's acceptable to put my own mental health and well-being first, even if it meant putting my family at a distance. She emphasized that I'm not accountable for my sister's or parents' behavior and that it is neither healthy nor normal. It's difficult, but I'm trying to take that seriously. Emotional manipulation and family dynamics that have existed for years don't go away quickly. I continue to question whether there was anything I could have done better or if there was a way to stop all of this from occurring. However, I then remind myself of the reality that accident wasn't anything I asked for. I didn't ask for my family to leave me when I most needed them. Furthermore, I didn't invite them to come to my door and level charges or to misrepresent what had happened when I only told the truth. So what should I do next? I'm thinking of writing a letter to the entire family to express my truth one final time before removing myself from the matter, not to defend myself or level accusations. Perhaps things would settle down if I expressed my disinterest in carrying on with this drama. My niece is also on my mind. I wonder whether I should save money for my sister's future, even though she doesn't want me in their lives right now. Perhaps I should create a college fund or something she can use as she gets older. How can all of this bring me peace? How can I emotionally safeguard myself while still maintaining the possibility of future reconciliation? And how can I get over my guilt about something I didn't cause? I appreciate your support, everyone. Having a location where I can discuss all of this and receive unbiased feedback matters more than you can imagine. For now, I'm going to concentrate on getting better and taking things one day at a time, but I'll keep you informed of any significant developments. And a week has passed, and I'm still getting used to all that has transpired. I appreciate all of your ongoing help and guidance. The most significant event is that yesterday, I got an email from my parents. When I saw it in my inbox, I was taken aback. I didn't think I'd hear from them after all this time, especially after the disastrous birthday celebration. An apology opened the email. Both in the immediate aftermath of my injury 3 years ago and in the more recent altercations, my parents admitted that they had handled the matter badly. They acknowledged that they should not have disregarded my cries for help ahead of their own when I was in the hospital. They also expressed regret for coming to my apartment and starting a physical altercation. My father acknowledged that his harsh behavior was inappropriate and expressed sincere regret for it. They also acknowledged that they had misled the family about what had occurred. They claimed to be embarrassed of what they had done and to have come to see the harm their falsehoods had done to the whole family, and not just to me. The email clarified that they had learned their lesson from the tragic birthday party. They realized the seriousness of their acts after witnessing the division in the family and the impact they had on my niece. They claimed that after reflecting deeply for the previous week, they had come to the conclusion that it was time to take responsibility for their actions. I had a range of emotions after reading this email. I felt a mixture of emotion, including a sense of vindication, anger at the length of time it had taken, and a glimmer of optimism that perhaps we could save our relationship, mostly though I felt relief. I've been waiting for this apology for so long. For the past 3 years, they appear to be taking full responsibility for their behavior, and it looks real. However, I can't help but question whether it's too little too late. An email cannot quickly undo years of suffering and betrayal because of the deep-seated grief they have inflicted. A request to meet in person to discuss the matter was made at the end of the email. They stated they hope that one day I'll be willing to give them an opportunity to make amends face-to-face, but they understand if I'm not ready for that. I still haven't replied. While I'm afraid of exposing myself to additional hurt, I also want to agree to meet them to see if there's any chance of repairing our friendship. I had a physical argument with them the previous time I saw them. After talking with my therapist about the email, if I do choose to meet, it could be beneficial to do so in a neutral set, with a mediator in attendance. In addition, my sister and niece have been on my mind. According to my parents' email, they have been honest with my sister about what transpired and have urged her to get in touch with me. I haven't heard from her yet. Even though I really miss her and my niece, I understand that I must give them space. Thanks for the time being. It seems that my parents have apologized for their lies and explained the matter in a mass email to the rest of the family. Some family members have messaged me to give their support and to express their amazement at the news. I'm at a crossroads now. Should I strive to mend our relationship after accepting my parents' apology? Do I keep my distance from my own psychological well-being? Is it possible for me to appreciate their efforts? In addition, I'm struggling with my own sense of duty and guilt. There's a part of me that questions whether I could have handled things differently. Even though I know rationally that I'm not to fall for this circumstance. I'm making an effort to concentrate on my own recovery and development going forward, to help control my stress and anxiety. I've started mindfulness meditation and I'm still in treatment. I've also been considering changing my life for the better. I'm thinking about looking for a new job, maybe in a different city, to give myself a fresh start and some physical separation from all of this drama. I have made the decision to establish a college fund for my niece. It seems like the appropriate thing to do, regardless of whether my sister wants to stay in touch, perhaps when she's older. She realizes how much I've always loved her. From here, how do I proceed? How can I strike a balance between the need to emotionally safeguard myself and the prospect of reconciliation? And with all of this, how can I begin to reconstruct my life and identity? Once again, I want to thank everyone for their support along this for me. Your counsel and encouraging remarks have been invaluable. Although I have no idea what the future will bring, knowing that this community is supporting me makes me feel a little more prepared to face it. So, after all of this, after the accident, the lies, the betrayal, the physical altercation, and the apologies. Do you think I handled this correctly? Was I wrong to cut them off? Was I wrong to tell my aunt the truth? Am I wrong to even consider reconciliation now? What would you do in my situation? I am genuinely seeking some plain feedback so that I can gain the courage to choose the right decision in this predicament. And any additional advice on how to go about my life from here would be a great help.